Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Grumpy Snail podcast with your host, me, the uncancelable Jonathan Snyder. Glad to be back with you. How you been? Huh? Your week going okay? Everything doing swimmingly, but whatever, however it goes. I don't know. We've updated our drink today. Well, I wouldn't say updated. We changed it. We've gone summer fruity today. That's right. There's a mix of stuff in there. It's a pretty blue color, isn't it? Kind of clashes with my red scheme I'm going with. Wow, we've also switched out another drink. Yeah, we're done with Coke, in with Dr. Pepper. That's right, no more Coke. Coke products are sayonara. See later. It's a little flat. It's been sitting for a while. Oh man. Okay, so I guess I'll just get to it. I guess I'm kind of disorganized, out of sorts today. I was supposed to go to the annual Spring Mountain Festival this weekend, but for some reason my alarm didn't go off and I completely missed it. So I missed again for the second year in a row. It's very unfortunate. I was planning on going to that, but I mean it's okay. Not a big deal. I'll go next year. So we got our pandemic situation is winding down. People are getting their vaccines, and numbers just keep going down. Pretty much no matter what the news is telling you and whatnot. That's what's happening. They don't know why. Why is this happening? We don't know. We thought we knew everything, but we don't. They don't know. But for some reason, it's not the same in other countries. There's still lockdowns going on in other countries. They're having issues with their vaccine rollouts because we have our vaccine and other countries are using other vaccines. There's the Chinese vaccine out there. There's the AstraZeneca vaccine, which I don't believe is one of ours, but it's another main usage. They had the Johnson & Johnson pause for the blood clot issue, which is, I mean, it's completely dumb. I mean, 6 people out of 7 million, and you're going to stop it? I mean, it's stupid. It's completely retarded. There's more side effect issues with the Tylenol or something. I don't. I guess the whole point is, I mean, I guess they were rolling everything out too fast, and they kind of wanted to slow it down a bit. So yeah, so that happened. I don't know. Yes, it's a complete mess. I am going to allow for everybody that wants the vaccine to go get it. I'm going to hold off on mine. Let the elderly, make sure you get all the old people that really needed vaccines, all those first line people, the people in the hospitals, and the African Americans, the BIPOC population, the ones that have the health issues that really should be getting first in line to get that. I'm going to let them go ahead and go in front of me. All you people can go in front of me, and I'm a nice guy. I empathize with other people, and I think that they should be able to get access to the vaccine before me, and so I'm going to allow that to happen. So cheers. You're welcome. Thank you. Yeah. So we also got the military activities really picking up over there in Russia and Ukraine area, and of course the China and Taiwan area is getting kind of, I don't know. There's some standoffs going on, and yep, that's going on over there. Things in Canada are getting kind of crazy. I mean, they had this church in Ontario where they were just trying to hold their services, the regular church services like churches do. And churches hold religious services for for whether you're a Christian or you're Jewish and you're going to a temple, or Muslim, or whatever your religious thing is. And so, I mean, there was this Christian church, and the SWAT team went in and arrested this pastor because he was holding services. And I don't know if you've been following Canada, but they're really, really locked down up there. So much so that the governor of Ontario, I think, came out and said that they were gonna start. Well, they talked about how they were going to start just anybody that's outside of their house, they're going to pull them over and say, "Hey, why aren't you in your house? If you don't go to your house, we're going to arrest you." That's pretty much what they were going to do, and they had a lot of opposition to that. But I don't know why people wouldn't just go along. Well, why wouldn't you just go along with it? They want you to stay in your house. You stay in your house. Don't leave your house. I don't care what you want. Stay in your house. But yeah, so that happened, and like I said, they arrested this pastor and threw him in jail, and so I guess the church went to church without their pastor. They got another pastor, and the SWAT team came in and completely took over the church and built a great big fence around the church so you couldn't get in it. And then there were all these protests around this church, and the people of the church, I guess, started holding a church somewhere else. I mean, the people are the church. The building doesn't mean anything. So I guess they went out and had their services elsewhere. But I mean and it wasn't just this one church. There was this other church where these this happened. You check this out.
Get out of this property immediately. Out. I don't want to hear anything. Out of this property immediately. I don't want to hear a word. Out. Out. Out of this property immediately until you come back with a warrant. Out. 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 Out of this property. Immediately out. Immediately go out and don't come back. I don't want to talk to you. Not a word. Out of this property. Immediately out. I don't care what you have to say. Out. Out. Out of this property, you Nazis. Out. Out. Gestapo is not allowed here. Immediately, Gestapo is not allowed. Out. Do you understand English? Get out of this property. Go. So go. Go. And don't come back without a warrant. Out, Nazi. Out. Out. You understand? Nazis are not welcome here. Out. And don't come back without a warrant. Do not come back without a warrant. You understand that? You're not welcome here. Nazis are not welcome here.
I don't know if you noticed, but that the accent of the guys is a Polish guy from Poland. You know, the area where there was a thing that happened. You know, back in the 30s, there was a thing. So yeah, and I mean, stuff like that's going on all around the world, and I mean, a lot of us aren't aware of it because, of course, we have our own things going on here. So all the last, I guess, 3 weeks, we had this Chauvin case going on, where this officer Chauvin shot this man named Jordan, or not, didn't shoot. We'll get to the shootings in a minute, but had this situation where they were arresting this man named George Floyd, and of course, everything wrapped up this week, and Chauvin was found guilty. All charges. Manslaughter, guilty. Murder second degree guilty, and murder third degree guilty. And I think the issue wasn't necessarily the verdicts, because, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, obviously it seemed pretty obvious he was guilty of the manslaughter charge. The murder charges is kind of because the law is kind of wonky there in Minnesota for some reason. I don't know why their laws are that way, because they're not like that in other states. But I think the real problem was the fact that I don't know. It didn't really seem like a fair case, considering that this congressman, congresswoman, congressperson, Maxine Walters, it seemed like she was threatening the jurors and the city and pretty much the whole country. They were going to, get very confrontational if they didn't get their correct verdict. And of course, Joe Biden, the president of the United States, had to stick his nose in it and say that he wanted a certain verdict. And then, of course, you had all these protest / rioter type people that said, if they didn't get their verdict the way they wanted, they were going to, quote, burn the city down. And we had the news of the alternate juror come out that said, they felt very threatened that they had to rule a certain way in the case. And of course, the judge of the whole thing said there was a very, very, very good case for an appeal. I really don't see how this verdict isn't going to have an appeal, and this wouldn't have happened if the justice system was fair. I mean, both Barack Obama and Ocasio-Cortez came out and said that they didn't think it was justice, and of course they meant because they still think we have this big systemic racism problem. But I think it wasn't justice just because they left the whole thing open for appeal. Pretty stupid. Yeah, I mean, Joe Biden came out after the ruling and said this.
It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see. The systemic racism the Vice President just referred to. The systemic racism is a stain on our nation's soul.
I don't understand why you're pushing this whole systemic racism thing, because at no point in the whole entire case was there a claim of racism, was there a charge of racism, there wasn't any charge of hate crimes. At no point did they bring up the fact that Chauvin was white and George Floyd was black, and therefore it was a racist thing. There was no racist past seen in the Officer Derek Chauvin. So I don't know why you keep bringing up race in a case where an officer was involved with this murder. It seems like you're just trying to push an agenda that it doesn't really exist. I mean, Morgan Freeman said the way to fix the racism issue is to stop talking about it, and I think the fact that everybody keeps pushing the whole race thing is, I mean, you're going to continue to see how not only does it not fix issues that we have, it's going to exacerbate them. So yeah, while this whole while the whole case was going on, of course there was the shooting of this person, Dante Wright, by this Officer Potter, right in the freaking city where this whole case is taking place. And I think there's something odd. I think there's something odd about the whole case because they said that it was an accidental shooting because Officer Potter accidentally pulled her pistol instead of her taser. And I think there's something odd with a 26-year veteran mistaking the pistol for a taser. There's something off about it. I don't know what it is, but there's just something doesn't seem right about it. But I mean, she's she's going to be tried, and I assume as long as people don't walk around and talk about how they're going to threaten that we get the correct case, I'm sure that we will get the result based on the evidence of the case. So, I mean, there was a shooting during a traffic stop, and of course the let's see, the Brooklyn Center mayor came out and said this thing about the shooting.
That officers need to necessarily have weapons, every time they're making a traffic stop, or engaged in situations that don't necessarily call for weapons.
Oh yeah, that I guess that makes sense. I mean, it's not like they would need their guns for that.
What's up, man?
Put the gun down! Yeah, I guess so. For every issue every instance, there's a group of dumb people that come out and say dumb things. After the shooting, of course, Trevor Noah, who unfortunately took over Jon Stewart's spot on the Daily Show, came out and said this thing about how African Americans have this talk or something that their parents give their children.
Every encounter between a police officer and a black person is fraught with danger. In fact, there's something in black families called the talk. And I don't know if my white viewers know about this. I mean, maybe it's one of those things that black people do that you've never heard of before. Like laying edges or putting plastic bags on your Jordans when it rains. But believe me, every black family knows what the talk is.
No. See, this is common sense. I'm not black. I got the talk multiple times by my father and by not only my driver's ed instructor in school, but also other teachers. I mean, this thing that you think only black people have because they're hunted down by police, I mean, it's a lie, because it's common sense. It's street smarts.
Street smarts!
When you get pulled over by an officer, no matter what the reason is, it's 10-2, yes sir, no sir, thank you sir, have a nice day sir, thank you, yes, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. So I don't know what kind of racial thing this guy's trying to push, but this is just, it's good parenting. It's or lack thereof is, I mean, the statistics, are pretty honest. You get in a fight with somebody with a gun, you're probably going to get shot. That's how it works. Immediately, almost, it felt like it was immediate. It was like a day after this case. Of course, it's not this whole shooting thing didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Of course, after the Chauvin case was settled and we thought we finally got justice, this other shooting with Michaela Bryant happened, and everybody went crazy. We thought we took care of this problem, though Barack and AOC knew that this wasn't justice. We knew we had this systemic racist problem. But, I think, I know I'm going to get flack for this, but I think the best response was not, it's not LeBron's response, because he's dumb and all he says are dumb things. But yeah, so I think the best response was from, of course, Ben Shapiro.
But here's the thing. If the cop had never shown up and Ma'Khia Bryant had stabbed the other girl to death, nobody would have cared. Nobody would have cared. Nobody in the media, nobody in Black Lives Matter, not LeBron James, not the White House. They wouldn't have given two damns about that girl's life. How do I know? How do I know? I know that because it did happen, okay, in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2 days ago. A 13-year-old girl was stabbed to death. 13-year-old black girl was stabbed to death by another 13-year-old girl. This is not a national news story because no one cares if a black person stabs another black person to death and they're both 13. Nobody cares. If the cop had shown up and shot the 13-year-old black girl who's stabbing the other girl, then it would be a national news story about systemic police racism.
Yeah, I think the whole point is that if no matter what happens, black people, African American people, BIPOC, whatever you identify as, if they're going to just say that the only situations that matter is when a white cop shoots a black person, then I think that police need to just stop. Just stop being police. I don't know why you would even be a police officer now, but the only way that this is going to come to solution is if turn in your badge, turn your gun, and leave. Just go. And I don't think it'll take too awful long for people to figure out that maybe just letting people shoot each other, stab each other, kill each other in the streets, maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe. Perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, that's I always like wind up in these very sad places at the end of these podcasts. But so to avoid that, let's I don't know, this whole race situation, it's white people aren't going to be able to fix it. It's going to be up to black people and Latino community, the BIPOC community, the Asian community. It's going to be up to you guys to say, hey, maybe this isn't the best way to solve this solution. And then we can get back to the fact that we're being, pinned against each other by this whole massive authority. And there's no reason to be like that. But yeah, so we'll wrap everything up on a high note. So this is completely separate from what we're talking about today, but Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez had this interview speaking about foreign policy and Pakistan and Israel, and there's always been this tension between the Jewish community and the Muslim community in the Middle East, and I mean we just can't quite seem to figure out how to solve that problem, and of course Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez was in this interview where she was asked these questions, and she said this.
Yeah, so earlier just now, you and I were talking about the what and the how.
Yes.
And I think that when we talk about establishing peace, centering people's humanities, protecting people's rights, it's not just about the what and the end goal, which often gets a lot of focus. But I actually think it's much more about the how and the way that we are coming together and how we interpret that what and how we act in the actions that we take to get to that what. And so what this really is about is that it's a question more than anything else about process. And so we really need to make sure that that we are valuing a process where all parties are respected and have a lot of equal opportunity to really make sure that we are negotiating good faith, etc. That being said, I think that there's just this one central issue of settlements. Because if the what that has been decided on is to state, then the action of settlements it's not the how to get to that what. And so, I think that that's a central thing that we need to make sure that we center, and that we value Jewish and rather we value Israeli. We value the safety and the human rights of Israelis. We value the safety and the human rights of Palestinians in that process that is similar and that on equal footing. And so all of that is extremely important in that process.
I don't know. There's something very familiar about it. I really can't nail it. Maybe, there was something very familiar about this. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was listening to a podcast with Pat Gray, and he played this.
Some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries.
Yeah, see, I thought that was close. It was close, that those two things. But, in my personal opinion, I think it sounded a little bit more like this.
Now I throw the ball at first base. Whoever it is drops the ball, so the guy runs to second. Mm-hmm. Who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it to I don't know. I don't know, throws it back to tomorrow. A triple play.
Yeah, it could be.
Another guy gets up and it's a long fly ball to because. Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't care.
What was that?
I said, I don't care.
Oh, that's a shortstop.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast here with me, Jonathan Snyder. I have a Ann. I should say Ann. I have Ann. I have Ann. Maybe it's A. I don't know. It's been a while since I had English. I have an email set up for the podcast. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to send, Grumpy Snail Podcast at Gmail. I have that email sent up, so if you want to send anything, any posts that you don't want to obviously post to in the comment section below on YouTube, you can go ahead and send to that email. Other than that, thank you for watching. We've got Hank the Handyman Harvey returning next week for another video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice weekend.